Hello, once again. On Friday morning, we left and drove north towards Dar es Salaam. As usual, it was fairly slow going, and we were driving through huge muddy puddles. But we finally arrived at Kim campsite on the south side of Dar at about 5 p.m. and set up camp. The beach was pure white with coconut palms all around, so it was beautiful. We had a swim to revive our souls, and I was lucky enough to see a black and white sea snake, although I didn't feel lucky at the precise moment that it slithered past me in the shallows. On Saturday, we drove into Dar, and what a nightmare that was. The traffic congestion was something else. We went straight down to the harbour to buy our ferry tickets to Zanzibar and to organise accommodation on Zanzibar. Then we headed to the north of Dar, where we had organised for our vehicles to be parked while we were away. We packed a small bag each and caught 2 taxis back to the harbour to wait for our ferry. Sea Bus 3 left at 4 p.m. and it was a large ferry, and we had a very smooth trip. 2 hours and we were on Zanzibar. We were met at the harbour and taken to our hotel, Coco de Mer, in Stone Town. We had quick showers and then walked back to Forodani Gardens in Stone Town, where there was a huge open-air night restaurant. Dozens of vendors served freshly grilled meat, chicken, fish, squid, and prawns, along with drinks and bananas and ice cream for dessert. There were plenty of locals eating there as well, and it was a real experience. Of course, there were also lots of carvings and paintings on sale for the tourists. And we had a lot of fun with one quite drunk local who eventually sold us a shirt for Dave for 5,000 Tanzanian shillings after starting at 25,000. At one stage in our negotiations, he put the shirt in my lap and said, "You can have it for flea." But I insisted that he took the 5,000. The next day, we bumped into him again, still drunk, but delighted to see us, and he posed for a photo with Dave. On Sunday, after breakfast, we explored Stone Town on foot. It is the old part of Zanzibar town and is a fascinating maze of narrow streets and alleyways, of old houses, mosques, ornate palaces and shops. Many buildings date from the 19th century slave boom, and most have brass-studded doors with very elaborately carved door frames, which were an indication of the owner's wealth. At 1 p.m., we all met at the hotel, where our taxi took us on a spice tour, which included lunch. Our guide, Anand, was a mine of information, and in less than 2 hours, he had shown us more than 40 spices and medicinal trees. It was so fascinating. After our delicious lunch, we then jumped back in our Kombi taxi and headed north for Nungwe Beach, where we booked into Jambo Brothers beach cabins. They were basic but clean. Nungwe is right at the northern end of Zanzibar and is the center of the traditional dhow building industry. We watched the sun set while having sundowners at a bar on the beach. It was low season, but we could imagine how the place would be alive with beach parties in the high season. After refreshing showers, we went out for supper at a nearby restaurant, which jutted right out over the sea. We all had the special, which was 10,000 Tanzanian shillings, equivalent to 57 Rand. And for this amount of money, we got a 3-course meal, a salad starter, followed by grilled fish and a crayfish, plus chips and rice, and then a dessert of banana fritters. So it was a really good deal. On Monday, we hired 2 scramblers and went on a day trip around Zanzibar. It was great fun, but by the end of the day, we were cursing our torture bikes as we had very numb bums. We went right down south on our bikes, where we stopped in at the Zanzibarian Safari Lodge, and we had drinks and a swim in their pool. Then we rode across to the east coast and meandered up the coast right up to Mantweme Beach. Realizing we had missed Mapenzi Beach, where a group of our friends were going to go in June, we decided to head back down to that beach. We met the manager of the hotel, but unfortunately he would be on leave when our friends were visiting. So we left a note at reception for our friends and hoped that they would get it in June when they got there. The resort was wonderful, and we had a drink, a snack, a swim in the sea and the pool, and then we headed back to Nongwe. On Tuesday morning early, we went for a walk along the beach to the lighthouse, and we saw a turtle sanctuary with hawksbill turtles, little baby turtles. On our way back, we stopped to look at the dhow making, which was very fascinating as it was all done with handheld tools. They drill holes with a handheld mechanical drill that they operate in a violin-like fashion. After watching the dhow makers, we went for a quick swim and snorkel, and I thought of Rayanne a lot as she loves snorkeling. Straight after breakfast, our Kombi taxi was waiting to take us back down to the harbour at Stone Town to catch our ferry at 1 p.m. This time it was Sea Bus 1, and it was a third of the size, and we had a very rough trip back to Dar. A good percentage of the passengers were using the plastic bags supplied, including Dave. We collected our home on wheels and headed north to a campsite at Silver Sands, about 15 kilometers out of Dar. Wednesday dawned, and it was not a good day, I am afraid. It was raining on and off, and I was sick of hanging up the washing while getting eaten alive by big black ants, and then taking it down again because it was raining. The ablutions at the park were appalling, and Dave was trying to fix our brakes. So our whole campsite was packed up as we had to keep driving off to get more spares, which were 14 kilometers away through Dar's disgusting traffic. The outskirts of Dar, where we were camped, was a complete slum, and everywhere was flooded or muddy. To get into the bank in the morning, I had to walk through a massive muddy puddle with frogs in it. There were brown rivers running down the sidewalks, and it was all very ugly. Why were we doing this trip? I felt very despondent. And Dave had worse troubles, as he had to get Garfield's brake sorted out. Anyway, a few hours later, I was feeling a lot better. Dave had replaced the brake shoes, and I had picked up email. It was always wonderful to hear from family and friends whom we loved and missed terribly. We were fine, and we were progressing well, despite the rain, car troubles, ants, and frogs. Thursday, we woke up to sunny skies, and of course everything looked better, even the ablutions. The men were still doing vehicle maintenance, and I cleaned out Garfield and generally got things in order. We went shopping and filled our gas cylinders and then worked our way out of Dar. It was by now after 4 p.m., so we just travelled until dark and then bush camped in a quarry. Dave's tan, beard, and pigtail were all coming along beautifully. On Friday, we made an early start and reached Tanga on the coast at lunchtime. We headed straight for the Amboni Caves, which were extensive limestone caves that were said to be more than 20 kilometers long, although they had not been fully surveyed yet. A guide took us through the beginning of the caves, and we saw large rippled stalactites, and we had to crawl through a narrow passageway. The caves were inhabited by thousands of bats, and when we shone our torches up at the ceiling, they all flew around. It was a very interesting outing, and after that we proceeded back to Tanga to Kiboko campsite. A Swiss gentleman who had lived in Tanga for 26 years owned this campsite and the restaurant, and his precision was still Swiss. It was the most organized camp we had stayed in. The ablutions were great, and in fact the loose stone paths looked as if he straightened them every morning with a straight edge. Everything was just perfect. On Saturday, we headed for Marangu, a small town near the base of Kilimanjaro. When we had been in Zambia, we had met the lady owner of the Marangu Hotel, and she had told us that she had camping facilities at her hotel. The hotel was family owned and was very pleasant, with a distinct English country feel. Garfield's brake fluid pipe on the right rear wheel had developed a crack. Luckily, only just as we arrived in Marangu. So, on Sunday morning, we went to the hotel's workshop, where the mechanic was luckily able to repair the crack and bleed our brakes so that all was in order again. After lunch, we organized a guide called Kunda, who took us to two nearby waterfalls called Kinukamori and Ndora. They were beautiful, and we really enjoyed the outing after sitting in the car and doing so much maintenance again. We hope you enjoyed this video, and so for now, bye-bye until next time.
Please like and subscribe and hit the bell icon for notification of our next video.